If you knew you were enough, what would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette Virnon. Hello everybody, it's your life coach and relationship solutionist, Suzette Virnon, and welcome to the Enough Factor podcast. As always, I am so happy that you tune in from week to week. You are the reason why I keep doing what I do. Now, if you are new, a hearty Southern welcome. I know you hear it in my voice, right? The mission of this podcast is to help you to redefine what makes you enough in life and in love on your own terms. How do we do it? We amplify what I call 3 critical factors of enoughness: your voice, your value, and your vision. What I've discovered is our struggles in life are usually attached to 1, 2, or all of these factors. Either something is suppressing your voice, or something is denigrating or discounting your value, or something is blurring your vision. Trying to live up to someone else's definition does it every single time, even when you get kudos for doing it. At some point in your life, the real you is going to object. And so we provide you with the insights so that you can understand what's happening and can get the tools that you need to align properly with what your soul knows and needs. The irony of it all is the very things we are told, that if we're successful, we'll be fulfilled. We've been fed it for generations, that if you work hard, get a good education, go to college, get a good job, find that special someone, have some babies, find a good church home, give 1/10 of your earnings, and volunteer to help the less fortunate, you will be fulfilled. That the heavens will somehow open up and the sun's rays will shine directly on you and you'll feel joy, peace, contentment, and happiness. To many, this would be a successful life. Or maybe I should say that was the version of it when I was growing up. Now, the more modern version of it still emphasizes working hard, but it's more working hard to have thousands, perhaps millions of dollars or followers, working hard to present a successful life, a life of entrepreneurship, the C-suite, having a mega church, reaching celebrity status, winning an Oscar, winning Olympic gold, running your own company, driving a BMW, Mercedes, or a Bentley, making the cover of an esteemed magazine in your industry, being liked by a Kardashian, having your book in Oprah's book club, speaking on stages all over the world, packing out stadiums, having lots of money, and being part of a power couple. And again, all of that in pictures, selfies, reels, stories, TikToks, and other places where people are most likely to be impressed. I think that if you're a high achiever or a recovering one like me, you've done your own version of running after success. After all, you were told that having success in these areas would make you somebody. It would mean that you had attained something to make other folks respect you, want you, be impressed by you. It would give you status, recognition, acknowledgement, value. That all of it would solve the very human dilemma that more folks wrestle with than you can even imagine. What is it? 3 little words. Am I enough? And if you ever question it, they could point to their accomplishments and say, yes, I am. See, here's the evidence. But in all that they tell you, they don't tell you that behind closed doors, they still feel empty. Sure, it feels good to achieve all those things and get kudos, but why doesn't that make you feel whole? Why does it make you feel lonelier, more isolated, more disconnected with all the success? With all the success you've gained, why is it that it's not getting better? And why ultimately the applause doesn't work anymore, right? Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be focusing on that very thing with my friend, the self-care chick and wellness coach, Tiffany Mateer. We'll be sharing our experiences, our thoughts, not as two coaches, but as two women who experience the highs and the lows and the reckonings with success. All of which inspired us to join forces to help modern women who are struggling to find that missing piece that success has not been able to bring them. And it's called Wellness for the Modern Woman. So why focus on the modern woman? While there are several definitions where they all agree that she is the woman who is not asking for permission, she's the woman that's going for hers without apology, she won't take no for an answer, she refuses to be put in anyone's box, she refuses to accept just a piece of the pie when she can have the whole pie, the cake, and the cookies. That's pretty badass if you ask me, and sounds very empowered, right? But yet, it's quite a tightrope to be fearless and go for yours on the one hand, and to not be too fearless and allow someone else to get theirs on the other. I think this is the tightrope that many successful women struggle with, and as a result, many of their modern daughters struggle with too. Maybe not in the same way, but most definitely in some ways. And while those strong woman, successful woman, modern woman definitions are evolving and seem ageless and empowered and progressive based on our current trajectory as women, there is still something lurking in the shadows. That tightrope walk that comes up for us over and over again. When is enough enough? How do I know when I reach it? What does it take to get there? When do I achieve that utopia and feel it? Feel like I am enough, I've done enough, and I can now relax in knowing it. Sure, society tells us that we are enough, but only if we check off certain boxes. That we're moving up in American society. That we have our own money, our own house, our own career. That we're a doctor, a lawyer, a celebrity, or a CEO. That we're selfless, often putting our children and our husbands and others above ourselves, helping the poor and less fortunate until our fingers bleed. We take a licking and keep on ticking, remaining poised, not showing duress under pressure, and not a single hair out of place. We've garnered the affections of a good, powerful, impressive man and stand beside him dotingly, picture perfect. And the list goes on and on. So why? With those definitions, and many of us attaining those definitions, or at least a few impressive ones, why are so many modern women unfulfilled even after having checked off these boxes? Why? Why after checking off the boxes and meeting societal definitions, does she find herself exhausted, running on fumes, yet never having a moment's rest from the pressure to be more, do more, achieve more? When does she achieve that elusive enough so that she can unplug from her constant to-do list and finally have some peace, contentment, and joy that doesn't get ripped away? So that after she's taken a vacation, she isn't back to exhausted, empty, or underwhelmed with her life, or overwhelmed by her relationships within moments of returning home. Why? Why isn't her life as compellingly wonderful as the pictures she took? Why is it that health concerns or health issues concerning women and men, why are they not getting better? with all the success, and quite the contrary, are mounting. I went to Google to start seeing if I could find some answers to these questions. And what I found were some really concerning statistics. Scientific American cites reproductive problems are rising at an alarming rate with men and women. And women are dying at alarming rates from heart attacks, strokes, and suffering autoimmune issues more than their predecessors. A recent Women's Health Nationwide survey showed that the COVID-19 crisis has been especially trying on women's physical and mental health. Over 2 in 5 admit they've developed unhealthy habits. That's 44%. And over half say they have felt more stressed, anxious, or depressed during the pandemic. That's 53%. More specifically, they found that women are largely uninformed about their health. With respect to mental health, 6 in 10 have never had a mental health screening, and most have never discussed depression or stress and anxiety with their doctor. And let me double back to COVID-19 and this pesky Delta variant. Nearly 7 in 10 women are concerned about COVID-19, ahead of cancer and heart disease. 53% have felt more stressed, anxious, or depressed during the pandemic. 41% say there have been times when they felt like they were going to break down. 44% say they've developed unhealthy habits such as overeating and drinking. 28% have delayed seeking medical care due to the pandemic. And in all fairness, even before COVID, success was taking its toll. Forbes.com, in their 2019 article, talk about the toll success has had on women. Reason? Pressure to prove naysayers, doubters, statistics, and deep-seated white male-driven beliefs wrong. So for the uber performers, things don't get better the higher up they go. Things get worse. They are treated like they aren't supposed to be there, or that those around them are surprised that a woman could get this far. The hardness we've had to develop is taking its toll on our mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational health. This, my dear listeners, is why Tiffany, Mateer, and I have teamed up. The handwriting's been on the wall for a while now, and we've talked about it and admitted it and commented about it on social media, but we haven't really done anything about it, at least not that I can see. And honestly, we as women can no longer wait. Despite the pretty pictures and the noteworthy successes by others' definitions, pregnant pause, we are all unraveling. So what do we have to do? We have to take matters into our own hands and take actionable steps to support one another's wellness, especially during these uncertain times. Isolation is not the answer. Being superwoman is not the answer. Constantly putting pressure on yourself to act like you're okay when you're not is not the answer. Going harder after your dreams is not the answer. It has to go beyond all that. And don't get me wrong, I believe in going after yours. I believe it, but not at the expense of your mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational health. Right? And while, yes, in the words of Iyanla Vanzant, every wound needs a witness. Yes, those things that perplex us and hurt us, they need to be told. They need to be brought to the light of day. And while I believe it is important to do all that, to share our struggles, burdens, and the like, It cannot stop there. And sadly, listeners, I watch time and time again as it stops right there. This is something that I've observed. When we women find that we aren't the only ones dealing with something and that another sister is dealing with it too, it makes us feel connected. It makes us feel like we're not alone and that we're seen. But many times that's where it stops. And even though we feel better in the moment, that feeling is not enough to sustain us. And so when the feeling wears off, we go and find another gathering. We all share our stories again and find that commonality again and feel good again. We feel seen, we feel heard, but it wears off. And if we're not careful, what we become is validation junkies. We chase the validation. We chase the witness of our wounds. And that's all we do. But the only thing that allows us to take charge in our lives is to do something about it. Not just talk about it, but be about the change that we want to see, that we need to see. And that's what our workshop is. It's an intervention. It's a gathering where we can say, sis, there is a brick wall you keep running into that won't move. It'll continue to crack your ribs and bloody your nose every time you hit it. And it's time to stop it. It's time to stop running into that wall, to take charge. And here are some tools to help you to do that. That's why those who attend our workshop on October 16th will identify what their brick walls are instead of continuing to run blindly into them. They'll discover the missing piece of themselves that the brick walls are there to reveal. They'll be introduced to techniques to de-escalate anxiety and depression before it turns into a full-blown meltdown episode. They'll gain insights into setting authentic boundaries with themselves and in their significant relationships. They'll identify 3 critical factors of enoughness and how by redefining them, they can transform their experience of life and of love. They'll find out how to build a lifestyle that supports their mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational well-being. Again, it's October 16th at 10 o'clock a.m. in the town of Clayton, North Carolina, at the Wellness Craze Studio on Main Street. But in the meantime, over the next weeks leading up to it, I will be putting women's mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational health front row center, discussing success, holding it up to the light, and seeing the cost of success, what it's costing us in our health, in our wellness. So make sure to tune in. But most of all, I hope that the honesty of these episodes, the honesty of these conversations will give you permission to get honest with yourself about what really matters and what your body and relationships are trying to tell you, and find the courage to write a new definition. We might not have control over viruses or the actions of other people, but we can learn together, grow together, and be a source and resource for one another. Well, thank you so very much for tuning in. And just in case you're struggling, I want you to know and never lose sight of the fact that you are worthy. You are worth it. You are more than enough. Bye. You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.